this is Natalie. I am a 7th grader at Sandburg Middle School, and this is
Sydney Christensen, and I am a 6th grader at Plymouth Middle School.
Today on That's What's Up, we are interviewing Dr. Jenkins, the Superintendent of Robbinsdale Area Schools.
Hello, Natalie and Sydney. I am so glad to be here today to have this interview with you on That's What's Up. I really think this is cool to have an opportunity to sit down with some of our students in the district to talk about what's going on and what's on your mind.
So, Dr. Jenkins, give us a brief description of your job and your responsibilities.
Wow. A brief description would be pretty much to say my responsibilities cover everything from the time you guys get on the buses, all of the bus drivers, from the time you go into the schools and you see the individuals in the cafeteria, all of the cafeteria workers, and then when you get to your first classroom, all the teachers who are in your classroom, I supervise them, and then their supervisors, which are the principals. And I kind of have the responsibility of working with a board, which those are my supervisors themselves, and I work with them in terms of carrying out the vision of the community, which this district has set forth, the unified district vision as a path, as a GPS for how we move our community forward. And that entails me not only working just with the board and administrators and the teachers, but also working with the students in the buildings and working with the parents and things of this nature, and also various legislators. So my job is kind of big, small. You know, I do the big things, but I have to do the small things too, to stay in touch, to make sure that you have the best learning environment possible.
What do you think your favorite part of your job is?
Oh, it's sharing the successes of our students and staff. Each month at our board meeting, I have an opportunity to talk about all the wonderful things that's going on. And we have so many amazing students, so many amazing staff that's making things happen in our school district. I like sharing it out. So that's my favorite time doing that. And I have to say too, going into the kindergarten classrooms, that's still like a passion of mine, is going in and reading to the students.
How many kids are in the Robbinsdale district?
Right now we have just over 12,000 students in our district.
So, what interests you the most about taking on the role of superintendent in our school district?
Well, I think Robbinsdale, this is actually my second time coming to the area. The first time I interviewed here, probably around about 10, 11 years ago, and I didn't get the job. I was a finalist for the position. I didn't get it, and I wound up getting a superintendent job in Michigan. Amazing how the community came together and put forth this vision where they talked about students having limitless possibilities and infinite potential. And it also spoke to the community itself, just the diversity of the community and how they would build on those strengths for students, for staff in the community. That kind of really inspired me, that a community had come together and said, this is the way we want to move forward and allow this unified district vision to serve as our guide. So I was inspired. I just loved the area and had always thought that I would like to come here in this area, but Robbinsdale itself became special to me even when I wasn't here.
Now, can you tell us the pros and cons of your job?
Well, for me, when I look at my job, I think more pros each day, to have an opportunity just to influence outcomes of what's going to happen with our children and how they may impact the future each and every day. That's what I get up to do, to come out to see how I can work collaboratively with individuals to provide the best possible opportunities for all of our students. And I do mean all. We say in Robbinsdale Area Schools, academic excellence for all, from the students who may be receiving some types of special needs services, for the student who may be gifted, and everything in between. We want to do that, and that's, for me, that's the main thing. How can we create a healthy environment free of anything physically or mentally or emotionally so our students can thrive? And sometimes I think the challenge for me is trying to do all of it, all the time, every day, knowing that in life in general, you have some challenges that sometimes seems as sometimes there's a lack of resources, sometimes it's a lack of time, but you just have that in life. And so we just try to manage that, but that becomes a challenge for me, because when I get ready to go to bed at night, I always say to myself, dang, I didn't have enough time to do this. I didn't have enough money to do this, because we truly do mean, and I truly mean that I want to do it for every child.
Would you say are your plans and goals for this district for this year and upcoming years? And what are some challenges in reaching those goals?
Right now as a district, first of all, let me say, wow, what great questions, okay? Our plans and goals this year, we have adopted our strategic priority, which really looks at our early learning spaces. We think about our students from prenatal to adulthood, our early childhood program. We want to make sure that our students are entering into kindergarten really ready for kindergarten. So we pay a lot of attention in our early childhood program, which we've had now in our district roughly 46 years. We've been one of the leaders in the state in terms of early childhood development, paying attention to our students. But those kindergartens coming in ready to take on this learning space that we're talking about, and also focusing to make sure that our staff likewise have the appropriate support and resources to be able to do that. So what we've done, and one of the main goals, is that we've adopted in our district the letters, the teaching the science of reading, and our staff, they will receive the professional development for our kindergarten teachers and our first grade teachers. And we've also, for the first time in 10 years, adopted new resources, curricular resources. Those are the resources that's gonna help our students when they're in school and help our staff kind of serve as a guide for what the students should be learning. And that's called the Benchmark series. And so that's a priority at the elementary level. At the middle school level, what we've been paying a lot of attention to, just the middle school transition. This is the year when you guys, right, you, Sydney, and you, Natalie, are figuring out what's going on in your lives from a socio-emotional standpoint. We're trying to pay a lot of attention to that. How healthy are our students socially and emotionally at the middle level? The content is very important, we know that, but there are a lot of things going on with middle schoolers that we have to make sure that that's taken care of before we get to all of the content. Careers for our students, but we're looking at the articulated skilled trades, and we're also looking at college. How do we create an environment where every student can see themselves in our schools and see the schools as relevant? Sometimes you may not want to be the student that go and get a PhD or a medical degree. And sometimes you don't have to do that. You can look at other paths and become an entrepreneur. And you may want to go out and kind of hone your skill sets. You may be someone who want to go into electrical or go into something dealing with carpentry. We want to have that opportunity. You also may be a student who say just right out of high school, this is what I want to do, and have a career path choice that you can get the right skill set and then you can pivot. You initially may want to go out, work, then you may want to go to a 2-year college, then you want to go to a 4-year college, then you want to go on to create something else. And that's kind of like our goals for this year, to make sure that this happen in a way that not only the students feel supported, but the staff feels supported, and then what parents have done in terms of investing in our community, in terms of making sure that the legacy of District 281 continues. That's what we want to do. And that's kind of like not only our priority for this year coming up, for years to come. We are going to be pushing that we have a well-rounded system that supports the arts big time, but also co-curriculars in general. So as we have dominated with the debate team on a state and a national level, we want to continue with that. We want to continue with rugby. We want to continue with ultimate frisbee, all those wonderful things. I'm just a little excited about this, so I'll keep the next answer a little shorter, okay?
I want to switch gears a little here and
Okay.
ask a question about mental health. Do you think bullying is an issue in our district? And if so, and do you have any ideas to solve it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question about mental health. That's something that I've advocated for years before it's becoming popular. Right now, I think that is an undiagnosed, under-addressed issue in our nation. Right now, where our country is in terms of overall with mental health issues, I think as of late, the last several years, people beginning to notice mental health, but we've had a mental health crisis a long time. Back in the early 70s, there is a crisis with mental health, but we used to not believe in the inclusion of certain students who had mental health issues. We used to segregate them, and as time has evolved, and like right now, I'm loving that your generation, you're speaking out about it. You're saying, hey, yes, I do have some things I need to talk about, and you're not being ostracized for it. I think bullying is here in our district. I think it's in other districts, it's in this state, it's in this country. And yes, when we identify it, we want to shut it down. We want to encourage students, first of all, to make sure that they go and talk to a responsible adult about an issue. If you're having bullying going on, we want to make sure that students know that they have an adult that they can come and talk to about this. And it helps. The more we build relationships with our students, with our staffs, and with one another, with our community, then the more likely students will feel comfortable speaking up about it, speaking out against bullying. So I would just say, yes, it's there. And it's not all that the bully is just bullying for no reason. Sometimes the bully themselves have been bullied, and that's a learned behavior. So we want to address it even for the bully, to take care of them as well.
Dr. Jenkins, how do you think verbal and physical abuse against teachers should be handled?
Yeah, I think that's something, again, when we talk about choices, and I believe that students, there are choices students make, there are choices adults make. It goes both ways. We have to be very careful as adults how we speak to students, as well as also make sure that we're trying to have our students understand the appropriateness of their actions, their language. So in an environment of true respect, it's reciprocal. You respect me, but I respect you. And that's the only way that we can have a true relationship that's healthy for everyone. But there are some students have to be, and some adults have to be held accountable for their words. Words, they say words don't hurt, words do hurt. And it is abuse. A child can abuse an adult. I've seen children abuse their parents verbally. And that's just not appropriate, and that's not something that we can tolerate at all, either way. Adults towards children or children towards adults.
I've been in a class when teachers were verbally abused so bad that they started crying.
She got beat up by this kid for taking his cellular device. Do you have any ideas on how, like, in a way, you could fix that?
Well, I think each case is individual, and you have to kind of look at what led up to whatever. It's not acceptable by no means for someone to abuse someone else, be it a child abuse an adult or an adult to abuse a child. And the choices you make should not cause me to respond in a way that's not appropriate, because the truth of it, just abuse on abuse doesn't work. So what happened to allow us to think that we could even be in an environment where this becomes an acceptable way to respond? So I think from our end of it, more education in terms of us getting to know one another, more students getting to know adults, adults getting to know students, understanding our boundaries. And these are things that truly, your parents taught you this when you were just a little kid, all of our parents, boundaries at home. Those things have to be reinforced when students come to schools, and we have to partner with our parents, we have to partner with students, and everyone have to understand what are the appropriate boundaries.
Question that ties into mental health somewhat. My question is on nutrition. What's the process to determine what's on the school menus, and what do you support healthy eating in schools?
Oh, most definitely. I've been a big advocate for healthy eating for a long time. I'm a former health and physical education teacher, so I've taught nutrition and also good habits beyond just eating, but also regular exercise, taking care of the body for years. So when I look at what's at the federal level in terms of some of the mandates, rather relative to the foods that we can take into school. You have a federal program, so we're supposed to be more nutritious. And the more they've learned, the more regulations have come down. Not that I'm one who's saying, let's regulate everything. I do believe in even in choice in that. Teach me and then let me have a choice of how I behave. But I do believe in a healthy lunch program. In our district, I really love the fact of how we have the various vegetables that are available. We have some healthy things. There are some things too I still look at on the menu and go like, oh wow, that passed the federal or the state regulation in terms of it's on a lunch menu. And I know some of those things students love, right? But at the same time, it can't just be about what you love. It's got to be about what's healthy for you. I'm constantly looking at that. But we have an excellent dietitian in our school district, new person just coming in, and very confident in where she's trying to move. You have to also include not only the cooks, but you have to get feedback from our students. And so far, I've been hearing back from our students. I've been hearing back from staff, and even myself, I eat from the menu in our district quite frequently.
Do you think all kids should go to college?
No, I think it's a choice. I am really into choices. I believe that they should have the skills. This is why the skills, meaning that we should make sure that every child come through our doors have the necessary skill sets to have a choice. And when they get that core skill set, then they should be able to pivot. And a gentleman in our community, we talk about this, but a gentleman in our community gave me this analogy so much. If they have that skill set, the appropriate skill set when they get ready to graduate, they can say, hey, I want to go to college. They can go to college and be successful. They can say, hey, I want to go in the military. They can go in the military, become successful. They can say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. They could do that. If they say, hey, I want to take a gap year and decide what I really want to do, because that's a very serious age to determine what you're going to do for the rest of your life. But on their journey of having chosen a path, if they say, I want to go back to college, they should not have any reason to doubt that they have acquired the skill set to say, at age 50, I want to be a medical doctor. They should be able to go, because we should have equipped them with those skills. And there are many ways that you can contribute to our society. And it's not just everyone going to college or everyone being a carpenter. I think you should follow your passion, and wherever it leads you, that's what you should do. That's what you should do.
Let's talk more about the success topic. What makes a successful student?
Well, that's a great question, and that's a debatable question, because success, which I believe defined by others, cause us to have some mental health, some anxiety issues. Other individuals put pressure on individuals defining this is successful to you. I love music. You don't have to like music. I may want to be a musician. No, you need to go do this. Well, I really do. I love music. So your success cannot be defined totally by me or anyone else. I think success is that student feeling healthy about who they are, themselves, I feel good about me. Everything else becomes secondary. I don't believe that the content should drive how successful we view students. Some students would be 4.0 students. That's who they are. Some students may be 1.5 students. And now I want them to be a little bit more than 1.5, but I don't know all of what's going on at home. And for some students, when you talked about the difference in some students in their childhood experience, they may be struggling each day to get there, and that's just where they are in their life at that point, and that may be a success, and then they may blossom a little bit later. So success, if I had to say it to you, is not what's defined by everyone else. It's really how you view yourself. And if you're feeling good daily about getting up, making choices, and not harming yourself in any kind of way, I believe that's success. Would I love to see you have all the medals, all the accolades, all of that? That may satisfy me, may satisfy our community, but are you feeling satisfied in that? So success is defined by you, not by everyone else.
What do you think are the keys to a successful life?
I think I'm going to go back to being happy with yourself, having a relationship to whichever you believe and how you're led in your life. What are those things that you value? Do you value those things? And then if you can go through life and enjoy life, not live, but enjoy life, and acquire some of those things in terms of what you feel like are important to you. And it doesn't have to be material things. A lot of times people think, man, this person's a millionaire. They're so successful. No, they're not. I have friends who are millionaires. Their struggles are their struggles. Just very much like friends who are not millionaires. But when someone can find peace within themselves and live life out, live it. I mean, to really just enjoy life and live it, that's, in my estimation, that's a sign of success. But even in my own family, we have different career paths. And I tell you, my brother, who did not finish college, he is as happy as a person I think I've ever seen in my life. And he's very successful in his life, and he didn't finish college. But he's a whole lot smarter than I am, I can tell you that. But the one part that I really love about him, he enjoys life. He has a strong faith background, and he's grounded in himself. So I use that as a great example. That's one of my big brothers. Yeah.
Dr. Jenkins, won't you tell us what you hope to accomplish with your career and also what you hope to accomplish in your life?
What I hope to accomplish is to truly give students an access path at a whole nother level than from what I experienced. I am a child residual of Brown versus the Board of Education. Have you ever heard of Brown versus the Board of Education? Okay. Well, in our system, school systems, like, we are so really fortunate to be sitting here today. At one point, we couldn't have this conversation the way that we were having it. And you approved Brown integrated the school systems, integrated the communities. And I'm a child product of Brown. And I hope someday that we're not talking about Brown as it was. We're talking about the new society in which your generation and through your eyes, you see the world so different. And I can't wait. And I hope that I can influence to whereas you can continue on that path free of any restraints from any policies or practices to keep you from living life out and being the best that you could be. And I hope to leave, not only as a superintendent, but as a human being, I hope to leave this place just a little bit better than when I found it. And I'm so thankful for the people who went before me. And I feel like I owe it to leave a legacy or open a door for ones coming behind me. And if we could say that at the end of the day, for what happened at the first school district, the first school in our district, Parker School, and if E.J. Cooper, when they look back at my short time, they could say, wow, he helped contribute to the legacy of District 281. That's what I hope when I leave here. And whenever that is, you know, I plan on living until I'm 105, so I only have 52 more years to live. So I hope that's what I could do.
This is going to be our final question for you. Can you cook? And what is your favorite meal to cook or eat?
Oh, my daughter must have sent that question in. Because when my daughter, I love to like, my daughter, she's 23 now, but she was once your age, and she was my little princess and all. And I used to cook Saturday morning breakfasts, and I love to cook grits. Do you know what grits are? See, I have to make some grits for you guys sometime, all right? We have to invite you over for breakfast. And I used to cook grits for her, and I thought I was like really doing something really cool every Saturday, wouldn't miss it. If I had something scheduled, it had to be around breakfast, after breakfast. And then one day my daughter told me, she said, Dad, we have to have a meeting, meaning my wife, my daughter, and I. And I was like, yeah, okay. She said, Dad, I would like for Mom to take over cooking the grits. It broke my heart. And I'm like, what? What happened? She said, Dad, your grits have lumps in them, and they're not supposed to have lumps. And I thought I was doing such a great job. So my daughter still teases me about this, about when I used to cook those grits. So I moved on now to just grilling outside. I grilled chicken and hamburgers and hot dogs and brats. I left the grits alone. And I don't think I have not cooked grits since my daughter was like 9 years of age. But I still love grits though. That's it. So yeah.
Well, on the behalf of our youth and our community and YNET TV, we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and talk to us.
And thanks for doing a great job looking after our schools.
Well, I want to tell you something, Sydney and Natalie. That's what's up. You are outstanding students, successful students in our district, and I really do appreciate you putting your voice out there so other students can hear you. Thank you.